So hello guys, good evening everyone. Good evening. So good evening Vishal, Pujari. So good evening all my friends who will be watching me on YouTube. Hi guys, hello. So how are you all? I hope you are all doing quite great guys. So welcome back once again to Rio Academy classes. So we have brought up today a new session guys. We'll be starting with the new topic today, and that is vectors, as you might have seen. So before starting guys, let me inform you, previous sessions too have been uploaded on YouTube, so check those videos too, like those videos, share it, subscribe it, and do let us know your comments in the comment section. Okay guys, so as you all know, the notification is out for PGCET examination. Karnataka Examination Authority has already launched the notification yesterday at night or today in the morning, but nonetheless notification is available guys, and your examinations are set to be on September of 10. Okay, 10th of September you'll have your PGCET entrance examination. So I hope you are all quite prepared guys. If not, then you can prepare it now. Still you have about 35 days to be surely. So you can prepare yourself in 35 days, deal with the topics, of course with a proper plan. So join in at Rio Academy guys, where we have been helping our students, Rioians, who are simultaneously watching me on our app. So we are helping them out with their preparations, their strategies, and of course their revision pattern too. So this is a batch guys. This Dhruva 2.0 batch is the second batch that we had started with an intention of closing down the admission dates about 15 days ago from now. But it doesn't seem that we are about to close the admissions. Nonetheless guys, the admissions are open. If you want to join in fast. All the classes are available to you in the recorded format, and the classes are going on daily. But with respect to mathematics guys, vectors I think is the last topic that I am going to consider. And please forgive my voice guys, because I have a little health issue. Okay. So one of the students here, Riorin, is asking to explain the properties of determinants. So I will explain it, sir. Initially, let me tell you the basics of what vectors is, because vector is a topic which is related to physics. Okay, it is both a common topic for both physics and mathematics, but nonetheless in mathematics you are just going to deal with the addition, the multiplication of vectors. So today I will be explaining only the basic part of what a vector is and what are the different type of vectors and how vectors operate. Okay, so that will look forward, and then in the end I'll explain the properties of determinants. Okay, so fine guys, those guys who are watching on YouTube, if you have any comments, do let us know in the comment section. So before starting the class guys, this Dhruva 2.0 batch, the classes are available in recorded format, and this is the team that will be conducting classes, that is conducting classes on a daily basis. Okay, so now guys, this is something regarding me to you. Among you who is new, who is watching me for the first time, let me inform you that I am an engineer by profession and a teacher by passion. So I have been accompanied with competitive examinations like public sector examinations, central based, state based, banking sector, SSCs, BDO, RRBs, and I have been in collaboration with Rio. Okay, so for past 6 years you can say I have been accompanied with it. So I will be conducting mathematics class for MCA students looking into the matter. Mathematics is a subject only for MCA students, not for MBA. MBA students have the quantitative part. Okay, so Giridhar sir, he will be the one to conduct the quantitative part. So daily I'll be coming live on our app guys at 4 PM on our Rio Academy app, which is available to you on the Google Play Store. So download it from there. If you have any further queries, you can contact us. This contact number that is on your screen. Okay. So WhatsApp and Telegram channels have also been dealt with guys. So the description has been provided with the link. So join in there, where you can form a community of all the students who are preparing for PGCET students. You can communicate with each other. You can have a connectivity guys, so that you won't feel alone. You will have that strategy development, how the planning is going to work, what are the notifications. We'll all be uploading it here, and we are launching mock test series guys for this week. So do attend the mock test papers, because up till now it was okay, but within this month you should start testing yourself for the examination that is set to be on 10th of September. Okay, so do attend the test series too, guys. And let me tell you the basicities that we will be providing you. All the classes of course will be according to the syllabus prescribed by KEA, and the classes will be available to you in recorded format if in any case you are unable to attend the live sessions. But I would personally suggest that live sessions are much more valuable than the recorded format, because here you can come up with your doubts at an instant, and the explanation that the educator provides within the live session is quite in a communicative basis, so that will be much more effective. But for some reason if you are unable to attend, you can watch in the recorded sessions that will be available to you in any number of formats that you want. And syllabus will be completed on time. Of course guys, we will complete the syllabus, there is no doubt about that, in such a manner that you will be able to understand. Okay, it's not just that we are going to bring up the syllabus, explain something and move on. Okay, and I sure that your friends are watching me on that will back you up on that one. Nonetheless, so mock tests, as I said, mock tests will be providing. So mock tests are available free for all the students who are preparing for PGCET. Just download the Rio Academy app and there you'll get this window PGCET. Click on it and you'll get the notifications of how to attend the mock test series. Okay, so that is all about this batch guys in just a quick format. Now let us come back to the topic that we are here to look forward. So today I'll be explaining the basic part guys of vectors, because vectors is a topic where you can't just substitute the formulas and go on. Okay, you have to understand what vector is, what are the types, how we deal with the vectors. So I'll be explaining the basics today. In the next class I'll explain you the properties and then we'll solve certain questions on vectors. Okay, and after that in today's class itself I'll explain the properties of the topic that Mr. Vishal Pujari on our app is mentioning. Okay, so see guys, see quantities. Before that, see, many among you, or I would say each and everyone among you, know what is IPL. Okay, Indian Premier League. Each and everyone is aware of that, and I'm pretty sure that there are many RCB fans here, because whenever we hear about IPL, RCB is the first thing that comes to our mind, at least mine guys. I'm pretty sure that it comes to your mind too. Okay, nonetheless, see in cricket matches guys, if you have seen after an over is completed, when the batsman or the bowler completes an over, they show you a graphical representation. Okay, a visual representation. Suppose if there is a particular bowler, okay, the person who is bowling the ball, suppose his name is Suresh. Suresh is a person who is bowling an over, that is 6 balls. Okay, after the completion of over, you might have seen that in the television they show you the visual representation of how the ball is moving. Correct? The ball, it comes on, it takes a dot here, and then if it is moving on the leg side, it shows you on the leg sided form, and if it is moving on the off side, it shows you on the offside form. I'm sure that you have seen it. And bowling ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ರಿ, ಬೌಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಆ 6 ಬಾಲ್ಸು ಈ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಬಂತು, ಆ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಗ್ರಾಫಿಕಲ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, why am I talking about this guys? See here, this ball here has mass. Okay, ball has some weight. Okay, ball has a weight. We are moving somewhere. Suppose I throw a ball. Of course the ball moves guys with certain force. Okay, suppose the ball here has a mass of about, let us say, 200 grams. It is quite a heavy ball. Let us just assume that it is 200 grams. If I throw that ball, I'll get a particular kind of motion. Correct? I'll get a projectile kind of motion. Projectile means an arc shaped path guys. ಒಂದು ಬಾಲ್ ಅನ್ನ ನೀವು ಥ್ರೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲ್ರಿ ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ, ಅದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಮೋಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊಜೆಕ್ಟೈಲ್ ಮೋಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ this 200 gram balls travel in a projectile motion. That is what we know. But here one important point that you have to look forward guys is the direction in which the ball is moving. correct? You're throwing the ball, of course you're throwing the ball, but in which direction? Suppose a batsman takes a run and is running on the pitch, you want to bowl them out. So what you do, you throw the ball in which direction? Towards the bowler or towards the keeper, correct? You don't throw the ball towards the audience, right? So that is what happens here. What I'm trying to say, guys, is this ball has some kind of a weight. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಏನೋ ವೇಟ್ ಇದೆ ರೀ ಈ ಬಾಲಿಗೆ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಆ ವೇಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಸ್ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವೇಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಈ ಬಾಲು ಯಾವ ಡಿರೆಕ್ಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸಸ್ ಗೈಸ್, ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ that is nothing but the weight of the ball here guys. Magnitude ಅಂದರೆ ಮೆಜರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ರೀ. ಈ ಬಾಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ with respect to weight is what we are measuring the ball here. Okay, so this magnitude, and we are also going to study about direction in which this magnitude is undergoing an action. ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿರೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಯಾವ ಡಿರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಲು ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ we will be needing vectors guys. Okay, that is when vectors come into application, correct? And one more example if I might give you, see, you might have seen about the defense system, Indian defense system. Okay, there are number of missiles, number of rocket systems. Let me give you an example of a missile here, or a missile. Okay, a missile too travels in a projectile motion. Okay, missile, when you fire it out, it also travels in a projectile motion, general missiles. See, this missile, you're firing it, that is okay, but in which direction are you firing it? That too is important here. So in the study of missiles here, in the study of defense technology, vectors are going to play a very important part. Okay, so what are vectors guys? Vectors are nothing but the quantities that help us out to deal with the magnitude and also with the direction, right? So this is too much of physics guys, I know, but in order to understand vectors, one must at least to know what magnitude is and what direction is. So magnitude in mathematical term, it is just known as measurement. Magnitude stands here for measurement. And direction, of course guys, direction is nothing but direction. Okay, now? So what are vectors? Vectors are those quantities which have magnitude, that is some kind of a measurement, and also have direction. Okay, so those quantities we are going to study out here in vectors. That is what vectors is all about. A vector guys, representation. A vector is generally represented with a straight line. Okay? Vector is generally represented with the help of a straight line. I hope you can see this straight line here. Antidellridu straight line. Okay, suppose this is the straight line here that I am considering. The beginning point here, this is the initial point. Okay, this point, let us consider it to be A. Okay, this is known as the initial point or the starting point. Okay, starting point. And then here this point, this be the end point, which is also known as terminal point. Okay, end point or terminal point. So here let us say that AB is 10 centimeters. AB is 10 centimeters. Just now, as I said the example of a ball, the ball is moving for 10 centimeter distance. Okay, the ball is moving for a distance of 10 centimeters. But in which direction? It is moving in a direction from A to B. Okay, the direction is from A to B. So this format of representation is known as vector representation. Okay, and how do we write this vector guys? We generally write it as AB vector. Okay, we use an arrow on the top of the distance or on the top of the elements that we are considering. Okay, the starting point here, the first point A represents the starting point, the second point here represents the end point, and here this line at the top represents the vector side. So this is how you generally represent the vector space. Okay, so this distance between A and B, this distance between A and B is known as the magnitude or measurement, correct? Magnitude is nothing but the distance between A and B, and what is that? That is 10 centimeters. So 10 centimeter is the magnitude, and the direction is from A to B. A in the B ಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾ? So this is the vector representation, and this is also known as the head, guys. This is also known as head. The end point is also known as head. The starting point is also known as the tail. Okay, so I hope it is clear, guys. So the basics of vectors understanding is important. That is why I am dealing with the basics here. So I am sure that you have already learned this in your graduation level 2. Okay, so see here. So now the question comes to the types of vectors. Okay, this is a vector. Now let us deal with the types of vectors. Generally, guys, there are 3 coordinate systems. Okay, there are 3 coordinate systems. With respect to 3 coordinate systems, we are going to utilize the values here. So let me just take a value here. We just take a diagram with the help of which it will be easy in order to understand. Okay, see. So this is a coordinate system. Okay, assume this to be our coordinate system. Here this direction represents x, this direction represents y, this direction represents z coordinate. Okay, so these are the 3 coordinate systems. Now we have to determine the position. Okay, vectors can be used to determine the position of things. Suppose I take a point here. I'll consider a point here and let this be point yes. Okay, let this be point yes, and this angle here, and this is origin. Okay, this is origin, and this point yes. At what distance this point is from O, that will give us the magnitude. Okay, what distance is this point yes from O, that is nothing but the magnitude. And the direction here, guys, the direction that we can find in with the help of all the 3 coordinates here, x, y and z. Suppose this is a vector OS. What is the position of this vector? We have to represent it with the help of an element here, and I am going to take that as r. Okay, this direction and the magnitude of OS is represented as r arrow, okay, or r dash you can say too, but I am going to take it as r. Okay, OS vector is represented as r vector, and r vector, we know the direction. It is in the same direction as the OS here, correct? The starting point is O, the end point is S. R vector is also in the same direction as the direction mentioned here, and that is from O to S. And what about the magnitude here? Okay, what about the magnitude of this vector R? That magnitude is given by square root of x square plus of y square plus of z square. Okay, magnitude of the vector R. What is this R? R is nothing but the position vector here, guys. Position of this point S from the point O, that is the origin. So R vector represents the OS vector here. Okay, the direction is the same as that of the OS vector, but the magnitude, that is the measurement, is given by square root of x square plus of y square plus of z square. So now the question comes, what is x, what is y, and what is z? X is nothing but the vector in the direction of the x-axis. Okay, suppose you consider a vector here. This vector, we are going to take it as x vector, and a vector in the direction of y-axis is represented as y vector. Vector in the direction of z-axis is represented as z vectors. Okay, so magnitude is just given by the measurements. ಅದು ಹೇಗೆ ಸರ್ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅಲ್ರಿ, ಎಕ್ಸ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ with respect to x coordinate, where does this point S lie? Suppose you drop down a line here, okay, and this you get to be 4 on the x-axis, you get that reading to be 4. So from 0 to 4, that will form the x vector. Okay, from 0 to 4 ಈ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ x vector ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So e point S, this point S, at what distance is it from the origin with respect to y-axis? Correct? You drop down another perpendicular line here from S to y, to the y-axis. So this distance here, suppose this is 3, this distance. So this distance 3 forms the y vector in y direction. Y direction ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ರಿ ಅದು ನಮಗೆ y ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವತ್ತು ಆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗೇನೆ z ಆಕ್ಸಿಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ s ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್, ದಿಸ್ s coordinate or s point guys, what is its length on z axis or with respect to z axis? So that distance along the z axis forms the z vector. So the magnitude of this vector OS is finally given by square root of x square plus of y square plus of z square, and there is a derivation for this, but we don't want that because that is not for your syllabus guys. Just remember this formula. R vector is given by square root of x square plus y square plus of z square, and of course here there are certain angles here. I haven't shown the angles here, that part is not necessary. If I consider the x-axis, okay, with respect to s to be alpha, x-axis angle x that it makes with s to be alpha, and y to be beta, and z to be gamma, then respectively these values can also be represented with the help of cosine functions. Okay, those values can also be represented with the help of cosine functions guys, but we don't need that because this is the only formula that you will be using. Okay, so I hope it is clear guys. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸು. I know guys, vectors is a little bit different. It feels like a different from mathematics, but that is what you need to know. You need to understand the basics. Okay, so I hope it is clear guys, and those guys who are watching on YouTube, I hope you are understanding. So if you are understanding, please hit the like button guys. Okay, so this is how we generally calculate the magnitude of a vector. Okay, now? So now let us go to the addition of vectors. Types of vectors, I'll explain it to you guys, but first I think we'll look at the addition of vectors. So fine guys, okay, so let me consider this arrow. Okay, I'll take in this arrow here, or a line itself. This is another arrow, and this is the third arrow. Okay, so look here guys, say let this be point A, and this be B, and this be C. Okay, the direction here, C direction is from A to B and from B to C. Okay, so let me give you an example here. Sorry guys. So see here, now as I told you the example of a cricket match. Okay, from here suppose the ball moves towards point B. Okay, the ball is moving from point A to point B. Here is a batsman. Batsman is at position A, he is hitting the ball moves to a fielder here, that the fielder's name is B. Okay, he throws it to the bowler because he should bowl him out. Okay, so the ball is moving from B to C. Correct? The ball initially is moving from A to B, then it is moving from B to C, and we are going to represent the magnitude of this vector A B to be A vector. Okay, small a. We'll write it down. We are just going to assume it out. Fine. And then the movement from B to C. Okay, this vector BC, we are going to take it as B vector. That is a direction vector, or the vector BC itself. Fine. So in case of physics, guys, if you know that distance and displacement are both different parts, correct? I hope you are quite familiar with these terms. What is distance? Distance is nothing but the area covered. A person is moving, how much he is moving, that is the distance. So what is displacement here? Let me give an example for displacement. See, this is a train. Okay, this is point C and this is point D. The train is moving from point C to point D in a circular fashion. Okay, the train is moving from point C to point D. Okay, so this is a distance here, and let that be 100 kilometers. Distance CD arc, the length of the arc CD be 100 kilometers, and they are moving from point C to point D. But if I ask you what is the minimum distance in between C and D, you will not say it to be 100 kilometers, right? C and D ಆ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು 100 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಸಿ ಮತ್ತು ಡಿ ಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ನಡುವಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕೇಳಿದರೆ, ಸರ್ ಅದು 100 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್? ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಬಿ ಲೆಸ್ಸರ್ ದೆನ್ 100 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ಸ್. ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ರಿ? ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ, ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಮೆಜರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರಾ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಗೈಸ್, ಸಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿ, between these two, the shortest distance that we are going to get is known as displacement. Okay, displacement is what, guys? The shortest distance between 2 points. Suppose you have a path like this. Okay, this is a kind of path. This is point A and this is point B. Okay, and this entire length, if it is 10 kilometers, the shortest distance, you can calculate it with the help of a straight line here. A ಇಂದ ಬಿಗೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಲೈನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಹೋಗಬಹುದು. That shortest distance is known as displacement. Okay, so here we are going to consider that concept. The ball is moving from A to B and the vector is A vector. It is moving from B to C. The vector is B vector. So what is the displacement of the ball here? The ball has moved from A to B and B to C. What is the displacement? You are just going to directly drop a line here from A to C. That will be the displacement, right? The shortest distance between the ball and the batsman here. Okay, so this is the displacement, guys. Displacement AC. So how much is this displacement going to be? That displacement is equal to A vector plus of B vector, correct? Because it is traveling with the same aim. ಆ ಬಾಲು ಎ ಇಂದ ಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು, ಹೀಗಾರ ಹೋಗಲಿ, ಹೀಗೆ ರೌಂಡ್ ಆರ ಅದು ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರಲಿ, ನಮಗೇನು ಬೇಕು ರಿಸಲ್ಟು? ಇಟ್ ಶುಡ್ ಗೋ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಎ ಟು ಸಿ. ಸೊ ಎ ಟು ಸಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ರಿಟನ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್. ದ ಬಾಲ್ is initially going through A vector and then it is going through B vector. So the total value will be nothing but the addition of this A vector plus of B vector. Correct, right? AC represents the displacement here, guys. AB plus of BC. So I can write in AC vector. AC vector is equal to AB vector plus of BC vector. Okay, AC vector is equal to AB vector plus of BC vector. And this AC vector is also known as resultant vector. Why, guys? Because it is the result of this vector A and this vector B. ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಎ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಿ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಎ ಸಿ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಸಿಗಬಹುದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಬಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಿ ಸಿ, ಹೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ರಿಸಲ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವೆನೆವರ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಗೈಸ್, you need to add them out. You are going to convert it into a form of a triangle. Okay, why a triangle, guys? Because triangle is the closed figure, the first closed figure, and if you want displacement, you at least need two sets, that is AB and BC. So AC vector is equal to AB vector plus of BC vector, and they are both equal. Okay, they are both equal. If I write in here 3 and if I write in here 2, what is A? We'll say it to be 5. Why? Because AC is equal to AB plus of BC. And this method, guys, is known as addition of vectors. Correct? ಇದಕ್ಕೆ addition of vectors ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು? Okay, I hope it is clear, guys. These are the basics of vectors. Okay, addition of vectors, and this method is also known as the triangular law. Why? Because it is in the shape of a triangle. ಒಂದು triangle ಪ್ರಕಾರ shape ಬರ್ತಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ triangular law of addition of vector addition ಅಂತಾನೂ ಇದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, so whenever ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದು set of vectors ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ triangle format ಗೆ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬೇಕು. Okay, na? So now here let me consider another example. Okay, let me consider another example. Addition, you know it already. So what about the subtraction? What about subtraction? Okay, see, in case of subtraction, guys, I'll consider once again the same example. Suppose this point be point A and this point be point B, and this point here be point C. You know, it won't be C. This point won't be C, guys. This point will be C. Correct? Because it is the final value, okay, and terminal point, and this is going to be B. Okay. So what I am doing here, this vector is A vector. I'll take it as it is. A B vector is going to be A vector, and B C vector is also going to be B vector. Okay, BC vector, just as we have taken here in this example. BC vector is B vector, and here too BC vector is B vector. Now what I am doing here, if you observe here, the direction is from B to C, but in upward direction. Correct? The direction is in upward direction, and here the vector, it is also from B to C, but the direction is in downward format. Okay, direction, if you see it, it is in downward format. So I am going to just place this vector here. Okay, I'll just represent it here. Okay, take it. It is a rough diagram, guys. Okay, so here, if you see now, this point. Okay, this is the point here. This point. A to B and B to C, and B to C, once again this be B vector, as we have mentioned it here. Okay, this vector be B vector here, B to C, and this is A vector, as we have already seen. Now what is the displacement going to be? Of course it is going to be AC. Displacement, it will be from A to C. Okay, this will be the displacement here. This will be the displacement. Now here, what will be the displacement? It will be AC, but with respect to the mathematical forms here. This is A vectorial, A vector. A vector, I'll write it down as A vector. B vector, we are going to add the B vector. Yes, of course, but B vector, guys, here is in opposite direction. If you look in here, in the previous question, I have taken the upward direction to be positive. ಮೇಲಗಡೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಈ B vector ಕೆಳಗಡೆ direction ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ, so that will be in the negative form. Okay, if we want the displacement, that is the resultant vector AC, we add up the first vector and we add up the second vector, that is A vector plus of B vector. But B vector here has changed its direction, that is why we are taking it in the negative format. So A vector plus of minus B vector is going to be A vector minus of B vector. Okay, it is going to be A vector minus of B vector. So finally AC vector will be A vector minus of B vector. A vector minus of B vector. So this itself, when you change the direction, guys, okay, you are adding them out, yes, of course, but you are changing the sign here because the direction has already been changed. So this itself is known as subtraction of vectors. Okay, ಹೇಗೆ ನಾವು ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ರಿ ಹಾಗೇನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೈನಸ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Okay now, so this here we are going to get the displacement AC to be A vector minus of B vector. So as you know, this is the triangular law of vector addition. Okay now, so now before moving on to the next concept, let me types of vectors. Okay, we'll see with the types of vectors first, guys. Just on a quick format, I'll explain you what are the different types of vectors, because you should know them in order to solve the questions. Okay, see here, the first form of vector that generally comes in is first form, let us take it to be unit vector. Okay, first we'll take it to be unit vector, sorry, zero vector. So zero vector. So what is this zero vector? Vector means, remember, it has direction and magnitude. So zero vector means just a point. It has no magnitude at all. A vector whose magnitude is zero, that is known as zero vector. And magnitude, guys, we usually write it down with the help of modulus sign. Okay, suppose I have a vector A. What is the magnitude of vector? If someone asks you, or if it is asked in the question, you have to write the magnitude as modulus of a vector. Okay, this modulus sign represents the magnitude of a vector. Okay, now, so the magnitude of a vector, if it is 0, then such a vector is known as zero vector. Fine. And here one question might be asked to you. What is that? Which is the vector in which the initial point and the end point are common or same? ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಇದೆ, ಆ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟು ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಂಡ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟು ಒಂದೇ ಆಗಿ ಇರುವುದು, ಕಾಮನ್ ಆಗಿ ಇರುವುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಝೀರೋ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಗೈಸ್. ಎದಕ್ಕೆ? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಅದು ಮ್ಯಾಗ್ನಿಟ್ಯೂಡೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ರೀ, ಮೂವೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಂಡು ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸಚ್ ಎ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಈಸ್ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ಝೀರೋ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಜನರಲಿ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಝೀರೋ vector. Okay, or it is also known as null vector antanu idu ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, so now the second different type of vector is unit vector. Second vector is unit vector. So unit vector, what is unit vector? Yes guys, as you might have guessed it, if the magnitude of a vector is 1, then such a vector is known to be a unit vector. Okay, if I consider the coordinates here, if I consider these three coordinates x, y and z, okay, and this is the x direction, what is the unit vector with respect to x? Always remember guys, unit vectors are always represented with the help of a cap. Okay, if I write down the x cap here, it means that x is the unit vector along x direction. Okay, x cap represents unit vector along the direction of x. And if I write down the same fashion, y cap represents unit direction in the length of y, sorry, in direction of y. Okay, y cap represents the unit vector in the direction of y, and simultaneously z cap represents unit vector in the direction of z. So unit vector magnitude is always 1. Why is it useful guys? Unit vector edike useful ide sir? One answer baruvudu iddaga ಏನು ಮಾಡುವುದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, it is usually applied in order to determine the direction guys. Okay, suppose there is a point here P, you just want to know in which direction it is, then you can apply unit vector in the direction of this point P. Okay, just in order to determine the direction, we usually apply the vector here. You know, fine. So generally in x direction, unit vector is represented as I cap in case of standards. Okay, if you see I cap anywhere, it means that it is the unit vector in x direction. I cap ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದರೆ x direction ಅಲ್ಲಿ unit vector ಇದು I cap ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅರ್ಥ. Okay, ಹಾಗೇನೆ if you see j cap is nothing but unit vector in direction of y. Okay, in direction of y. And then k cap is nothing but unit vector in direction of z. Okay, unit vector in direction of z, guys. That is what about the vectors part here. Okay, so ega with respect to unit vectors, as I said initially, as we have said here, magnitude r vector is given by square root of x square plus of y square plus of z square. This is the formula. Magnitude of a position vector, r vector is the position vector because it represents the position of point P, as we have seen initially. Okay, so magnitude we usually calculate as x square plus y square plus of z square. Okay, how to apply this while solving problems, I'll tell you guys. While solving the problems I'll explain that, but initially now just remember it is also equal to x vector into its unit vector, that is x into I cap, that is the unit vector. Okay, the vector along the direction of x into I cap plus of y into j cap plus of z into k cap. Okay, plus of z into k cap. So now what does this mean? I'll explain you while solving the problems. This is also nothing but the magnitude. Okay, we represent the magnitude in form of modulus. Modulus of vector x, vector y and vector z. We combine them and we get the magnitude of the vector r, okay, the positional vector. Okay, so this is the formula, guys. So please remember this formula. You are going to be using that formula in your problem solving. Okay, so this r vector here is known as position vector. ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆಯಪ್ಪ ಇದು ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ನೋನ್ ಆಸ್ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತಲೂ ಇದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸೊ ನಾವು then we have okay, suppose these are two vectors, guys, OA and OB. Okay, these are two vectors. The initial point of vector OA is here. Initial point, that is the starting point, and initial point of vector OB, that is starting point, is also here. Okay, so these two vectors have the starting point to be common, correct? There is a common starting point here, and such vectors are known as co-initial vectors. Such vectors are known as co-initial vectors. Co means together, guys. Okay, ಜೊತೆಯಾಗಿ. Co ಅಂದರೆ ಜೊತೆಯಾಗಿ, togetherness or same or common. Okay, so such vectors which have same or common initial points are known as co-initial vectors. While solving questions, guys, sometimes what they do, they give you vectors in different lines. Okay, let me consider an example here. Okay, suppose this side take to be vector AB and this side take to be vector CD. Okay, so determine the resultant vector. That will be the question that might be asked to you. So what you have to do, you have to bring this vector at the position B. You have to just pick it out and drop it there, and then you are going to get the resultant vector. Okay, so that is usually applicable. You have to convert them in form of co-initial if you like. Okay, we'll see that, guys, while solving problems. So co-initial vectors, vectors which have the common starting point, those vectors are known as co-initial vectors. And then you have parallel vectors, guys. Parallel vectors, so as you might have guessed, parallel vectors is a set of vectors which are parallel to each other. Okay, parallel vectors are nothing but set of vectors which are parallel to each other. This is another vector. I am taking this to be another vector. So this first vector be AB, second vector be CD, So both these vectors are parallel to each other, independent of the direction, independent of the magnitude. If they are parallel, they are known as parallel vectors. So next, equal vectors. So as the name suggests, vectors should be equal, guys. The magnitude here should be equal. Okay. If vectors have equal magnitude, then such vectors are known as equal vector. And they also have the same direction. Equal vectors should have same direction and same magnitude. Okay. Okay, if I take these both vectors here, if you can see these two vectors, they are equal in magnitude. Assume they are equal and they are in same direction. So such vectors are known as equal vector. Okay, so this is the basics, guys, about vectors, and I hope that you have understood what it means. There are properties of vectors. Okay, commutative property, then associative property, then distributive property. Vectors follow all these properties generally. So how is it that they follow? We are going to see that, guys, in the next class. Okay, we'll see the properties in the next class. So I hope you are able to understand. So those guys who are watching me on app, those guys who are watching me on YouTube, if you have any comments, guys, any doubts, any questions, please do ask. See, binomial theorem and correlation, guys. Okay, correlation and regression. Correlation and regression, I don't think it's of that much importance this year, guys, 2023, because after 2021 the pattern has been changed for PGCET examinations, so they haven't been asked correlation and regression that much. So I don't think we need to focus too much on that. ಫೋಕಸ್ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಓದಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ರೀ, ಅದು ವೇಟೇಜ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ವಿಲ್ ಲುಕ್ ಔಟ್, ಗೈಸ್. ಇಫ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಸ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್, ಐ ಮೈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ವಿಲ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಗೋ ಲುಕ್ ಸಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೆಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆದರೆ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಓಕೆ, I will take personally, or maybe Rio sir is going to take that class. Maybe, I'm not really sure. Okay, after vectors, guys, you need to deal with the practice. Practice anna ಮಾಡಬೇಕ್ರಿ ನೀವು. Okay, ನೀವು practice ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ it will not be that much helpful, guys. Okay, so for YouTube, guys, those guys who are watching me on YouTube, I hope you are able to understand. If you are liking the video, if you understand, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, subscribe it, and the batches are yet open, guys. Admissions are open. The classes will be available to you in recorded format. Mock tests we are uploading. Attend those mock tests. If there are any kind of suggestions, do let us know. Okay, so for YouTube, guys, that is all for today. Thank you for joining us live in this wonderful session. See you again in the next class. Take care, guys, and